contradictions in JW literature say it is not so. I don't believe it. I find that shocking, especially considering that they have Jehovah's Holy Spirit to guide them. I think it's impossible to believe, but you know what? I'm going to pass it over to my beautiful Bible study conductor here tonight, Dr. Time Waster.
Hello.
And we'll let her be our guide to whether or not there's any weird mental gymnastics happening in their literature, let's say.
Spoiler alert. Yes, there is.
Right.
All right, you guys you're dismissed. If you want to stick around though, welcome.
Please.
Thanks for coming. We are gonna break down. We're on chapter 3 of this brochure. Thank you. The Jehovah's Witness organization in 2010 put out this brochure about evolution. Well, no, excuse me. That's what we're talking about. But what the title is, The Origin of Life, 5 questions worth asking, and most of it has to do with evolution, so pardon me. Hey. Oh, wait. I know that guy. Anyway, so welcome. We are on chapter 3, and we kind of talked about how amazing and complex cells are. Too complex. Too complex.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're on chapter 3. Chapter 3 is, where did the instructions come from?
Do you want me to pull that up?
By the way, just we need to address, there's somebody else missing this time. I know last time I wasn't here.
I was going to get to that. I was just
gotcha.
doing my over dramatic introduction to what we're going to do today. Yeah. Tyler's not here. He might come. If we bully him enough, he might show up.
We may have to pray to God that he shows up.
Yes, Jehovah, for him to arrive. Jay came. I asked Jehovah for Dan to come, for Jonathan, and now Jay. So yeah, I mean,
the gang's here
to Jehovah on time. So everybody would come. And they all came. And we were
right.
All
we'll make everyone do the walk of shame if they show up late. Welcome to the book study of torture. Oh, wait, that's all of them all the time. This hopefully is a much funner, more fun book study where we take the same material and we go, did we really believe that shit?
Evidently we did. So whether or not we knew it, apparently so.
That's right.
Right. You said you did at some point in time. Whether you did or not, you said you did.
I mean, unless you want to be a heathen, right, apostate for not believing.
Dangerous. That's scary. Well, Alpha Sub, thank you for reminding me about the people who weren't here on time. They will be punished. No. Yep. But welcome. Thank you for joining us
for council after the meeting.
What's that?
So that he'll be taken back for council after the meeting.
Oh no, get a little spanking.
Well, last week we took a bit of a hiatus, so I'm trying to catch everybody up, but we wanted to save it for you. I know you were trapped in some situations you couldn't really get out of.
Well, I could, but it was just, better for me to go ahead and go, and it was interesting to see. I took my mom up into Missouri for the Jehovah's Witness convention. Stayed in the hotel while she went there every day. I just dropped her off and picked her up. There was quite a few of them there. Didn't really look any different from what I remembered as a kid.
Yeah, same old.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not surprised.
So I went there as a spy. I didn't get any new information this year. I'll report back next time you guys send me.
I would never send anyone on such a torturous journey.
But you need intel.
Yeah, well,
you should have just wired her.
Wired her?
You bugged her or something.
Oh, right, and recorded up. That's a good idea for next year.
Tell
Okay.
somebody we want to see it. Do they even say anything different than the ones they publish the videos now, or
I mean, there's got to be a little bit of variance because they're not
back
sending
to
out.
local stuff like before pandemic? Is that what they're doing?
I really didn't ask her too many details about what it was like. I didn't ask her if they played a lot of videos or not, but I will ask her if they played a lot of videos now. That
I mean, there
hmm?
at the convention, like you physically
Yeah,
go to a building and then they're gonna show me a video. Like I was in
right,
school and the teacher just wanted an hour piece.
right. I'm very curious if they did that because I know they have in the past. So, or not the whole time, but show
Whew.
multiple videos during the convention. I'll ask and report back next week.
Jay says they played a lot of videos, like
Were you there, Jay?
in the convent, like you physically had to go to like a stadium size kind of thing. Is that what I mean? Is that what you are describing?
Oh, I asked her how big it was. When I was a kid, we went to what was called the Coliseum in Memphis,
Yeah.
which is gonna be like a big basketball stadium or something. She said it was about half that size or a little bit less than that. So
Okay.
probably like 1,500 people there, maybe.
Okay. Okay.
I wonder what the average used to be.
I don't know. Like
I don't
when
know.
I was a kid, it was a lot.
She said this wasn't the big one. She said this was a circuit assembly.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought it was
And what's over that?
like a convention. I don't know.
Like a general assembly or something.
I don't know.
I think this is like, what did I say? What did I just say? Circuit. I think there's
You
district,
guys-
circuit, and general.
For
So
anybody watching this who knows
The
answers to
district
this, are you just
circuit.
lying?
She went to the middle-sized one. Who's currently in on all this?
I don't know.
Jay, did you
Jay
take
is.
did you take your wife? Yeah, did you go to the same one by chance? Yeah, in Missouri. What in Missouri was it?
Oh.
I forget where Jay's at.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna make us move on, and he can put in the comments. Can't wait. Can't wait. Time is money, people. No, I'm just kidding.
5,500 at the regional convention.
Oh,
New York. Okay.
exciting.
Well, New York, that's definitely going to be bigger than
Poor
Ozarks.
souls.
This is basically the Ozarks kind of meeting together.
Oh. I swear, the moment I got baptized, it was like, I feel like I shouldn't have done that. It was not long, like immediately regret. And I was like, I'm only 14. What was I thinking?
Right. That should have been a good lesson in goal setting where you need to think about what happens after I achieve the goal.
Right. I can't see beyond my own nose. Like I'm gonna be thinking that far in the future. Anyways, okay. Let's circuit, district, international. Yes, those are words I recognize.
They are words.
Maybe the Coliseum in Memphis.
These are definitely words that I know.
Was international, maybe, because it was a big one. Maybe that's what that was.
Jay is correct, or well, both of you are correct. Jonathan, buyer's remorse. Yes, that is exactly what I felt after I got baptized. It was too expensive. Anyways, okay, we're gonna move on to this brochure because otherwise we'll never get out of here. So, chapter 3 before this was asking questions about the origin of life, and they started off by talking about a cell. Cells are just everything's too complicated. Just that's all you need to know about chapter 2. Chapter 3 is where did the instructions come from, and we are focusing on DNA, and they are going to describe roughly how DNA sort of functions, right? And honestly, I'm going to try and keep my mouth shut so we can get through it. But I just want to say a couple things really quick before we start reading this, because we're going to get bored reading it if we don't have a game to play. And if you want to do shots or something every time you hear them anthropomorphize natural selection or anything about cells, the moment they start attributing human characteristics, feelings, there you go, to cells,
I'll go
just
ahead and
take a
start
shot.
drinking
I'll get drunk.
every time.
No time.
Vengeance is mine, thus saith the Lord.
Oh, here he is. All right. Well, everybody
Alright,
watch him
asking
do the
for
walk of
forgiveness
shame as he
already.
sits down, takes. Okay. So going into this chapter, pay attention when they attribute human characteristics to things that don't need it, right? A cell does not desire to do anything. But I also just want to point out scale. Like, scale is important with this, size, scale, and just these overwhelming big numbers, small numbers. And then think about just how do you define life? Like, what do we define life to be? So keep those things in mind. I'm going to just say one more thing before we read this, because I want you guys to hear this from my perspective. I wrote it down. I just randomly wrote this. Okay. It's my way of being poetic. Ready? I promise we'll move on. Okay. With the scale of the known universe being as small particles that make up atoms and whatever else is smaller than that, we can't comprehend. And size going all the way up to galaxies that are just massive amounts of galaxies that are floating around in space. And the size differences, the physics scale that changes, So you take all those things and you combine it with the relativity of time, which is a concept it took me forever to figure out, and billions of years, right? A lot of time for natural events to occur and make change. Okay, this is not, I think, a too wild of a concept. Is it not plausible that something that starts out as a small, useless molecule that can combine and form something else that maybe under other circumstances combines and forms something else, chemistry, and you give that like enough time and it can just end up being patterns that just does something, right? After a while, that something triggers something else that triggers something else that with enough time and enough resources could evolve to become, say, a long chain of molecules that help generate more of the same, like DNA, something that is essentially an inherited piece of information that can be copied and translated down, right? This is what we're talking about. That to me seems just as plausible of a theory of how the origin of life could have started, because there's a lot of unknowns in there, than God did it. So I just want to say that. Okay, now we can read their argument.
I mean, see, yeah, just it happening unintentionally seems like almost more likely than it happening intentionally when you try to put it into that type of context. Because all kinds of things that could potentially happen with all infinite possibilities with an infinite amount of time would all be unintentional, whereas the other option is you have some being that you have no explanation for intentionally doing it, and you have no data to support this. Or at least that's the options I'm often presented with.
Yeah. So just choosing the one that makes us feel better.
Sometimes.
Anyway, I just think that's just as plausible as anything else. And so I wanted to kind of put it, it was very difficult for me to write this, removing emotional language from it, right? Like over embellishing, giant and huge and amazing, and then also adding in those feelings, like, doesn't it feel good to know that you're on the winning team. The cell is sitting right now because it chose not to show up to this book study. Just keep that in mind as we read through this. That's all I'm gonna say. Done. Okay. You guys ready? And
I'm
are
ready.
you muted, ma'am?
Oh, there we go.
Sorry, were you talking?
No, I just said let me pull it up. That was all. That was all I said.
I just noticed Jay said if they use a washing machine illustration, he's going to bed. I was just looking ahead, and so far I don't see a washing machine.
I don't think there's a wash machine in here. You might still be disappointed, Jay. I'm not gonna lie. All right. Does somebody else want to start off, or do we want to read through it, slam through this biatch?
I will if you want me to. Where you want to start? At the very, very beginning? Why do you look the way you do?
Yeah, what? That's rude. Yeah.
Look the way you do.
Why do you look the way you do?
I was born in Chernobyl, sorry. I should shut that up if somebody ever asks you that. So you want me to start there?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I was reading comments. Sorry.
All right. Why do you look the way you do? What determines the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin? What about your height, your build, or your resemblance to one or both of your parents? What tells the ends of your fingers to grow soft pads on one side and hard protective nails on the other? In Charles Darwin's day, the answers to such questions were shrouded in mystery. Darwin himself was fascinated by the way traits are passed along from one generation to the next, but he knew little about the laws of genetics and even less about the mechanisms within the cell that govern heredity. Now, however, biologists have spent decades studying human genetics and the detailed instructions that are embedded in the amazing molecule called DNA. Of course, the big question is, where did these instructions come from? Do you want me to pause or keep trucking?
Oh, you're muted now.
Sorry, I accidentally hit the button. No, you could. There was something I was gonna say later before you go all the way through, but you can move on.
Okay. What do many scientists claim? Many biologists and other scientists feel that DNA and its coded instructions came about through undirected chance events that took place over the course of millions of years. They say that there is no evidence of design in the structure of this molecule, nor in the information that it carries and transmits, nor in the way that it functions. What does the Bible say? The Bible suggests that the formation of our different body parts, and even the timing of their formation, involves a figurative book that originates with God. Notice how King David was inspired to describe matters, saying of God, "Your eyes saw even the embryo of me, and in your book all its parts were down in writing, as regards the days when they were formed, and there was not yet one among them." What does you may stop there?
Oh, I was just gonna say something really quick. I looked up that scripture.
Psalm
And
139:16.
yeah, and when I did, I Googled it because I'm like, I'm not gonna look in their Bible. I'm sure they quoted their Bible correctly for whatever genre they have out. But I noticed every other denomination translation Bible used a different word than embryo.
Embryo.
That's what made me look it up. I was like, embryo? They had a word for embryo back then? That's
I was curious myself.
So what was the word?
Good catch.
Every other translation I found said unformed body. Which I know you could, I could make the connection of unformed body and maybe embryo.
You can also say fetus and unformed body.
More likely fetus, right? Because they probably didn't ever actually see an embryo. I doubt they were like, an embryo, because they're super tiny.
No.
But a fetus for sure. And it would also God damn it. I think it's frustrating that they use a scientific term and they put it in the Bible, because now this is just a wedge in the door that says, see, isn't the Bible amazing? It even knew what an embryo was.
Right. Oh
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah.
Ah!
There is a lot of there's so much coding in these translations just between the language of origin and what it is today that is complete has a completely different meaning than what they're spinning.
Right.
It's
Okay, that's all. I just had to say that because that made me mad when I did that. I went down that rabbit hole. See, I looked at all the sources in this.
yeah, I love to do that. I love to just compare every single, like, just scripture by scripture. You can, on this one website, Bible Gateway, you can just do individual scripture, only one scripture at a time, but you can look at every different translation of it and the differences, like the theological and doctrinal differences.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry. We're
Com-
gonna get to the Bible. I've already started my research because I've never really done a lot of research on the Bible because I've read it and I'm like, nope, no thanks. I'm gonna move on. But I'm gonna do it. But I'm doing it based on the same standards that they're holding evolution to, and it's interesting. Anyway, we'll get to that chapter.
what does the evidence reveal?
What does it? Do you want to keep reading? I'm not. You don't have to
Yeah.
keep reading.
Yeah. I'll keep reading until at least till the next
Until
paragraph
he doesn't have
thing,
a brain cell
the
left.
next title. What does the evidence reveal? If evolution is true, then it should seem at least reasonably possible that DNA could have come about by means of a series of chance events. If the Bible is true, then DNA should provide stronger evidence that it is the product of an orderly, intelligent mind. When considered in the simplest of terms, the subject of DNA is quite understandable and fascinating. So let us take another trip to the inside of a cell. This time, though, we will visit a human cell. Imagine that you were going to a museum designed to teach you about how such a cell works. The whole museum is a model of a typical human cell, but magnified some 13 million times. It is the size of a giant sports arena, the kind that can seat an audience of about 70,000 people. You enter the museum and stare awestruck at this wondrous place full of strange forms and structures. Near the center of the cell stands the nucleus, a sphere about 20 stories tall. You make your way there. You go through a door in the nucleus outer skin, or membrane, and look around you. Dominating this chamber are 46 chromosomes, arranged in identical pairs. They vary in height, but the pair nearest you is about 12 stories tall. Each chromosome has a pinched place near the middle, so it looks a bit like a link sausage, but is as thick as a massive tree trunk. You see a variety of bands running across the model chromosomes. As you draw closer, you see that each horizontal band is divided by vertical lines. Between those are shorter horizontal lines. Are they stacks of books? No. They are the outer edges of loops, packed tightly in columns. You pull at one of them, and it comes free. You are amazed to see that the loop is composed of smaller coils, also neatly arranged. Within those coils is the main feature of all of this, something resembling a long, long rope. What is it?
I'm peaked.
Wasn't
What
anybody
is
arranging
it?
those coils?
Um,
It's something long. I want to know what it is. I'm so
That's
curious.
just the strain of DNA, I think. Right? Yeah, that's just DNA.
Tightly packed loops. Oh,
hmm, tight. I noticed words like awestruck, wondrous, strange, amazed. Like I just started highlighting words that.
oh no, I missed my chance to blow the horn.
Gotta do it while we're doing it. Anyway, I just that's it. I just was
It is trying to tell you what emotions to feel a lot, isn't it?
how to feel. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Imagine the cell, and the entire time I want you to feel awestruck, amazed. It's wondrous.
Right. They want you to think that it's such an orderly and intricate process that only a God like Yahweh or Jehovah, excuse me.
Could have
Yeah,
perfectly
I
made.
feel like they're just, if anything, setting the audience up for feeling overwhelmed to learn about it in any more detail. Because that's why I say they're oversimplifying it by making it sound overly like too complicated and massive, but yet they explain so little about it that it really isn't explaining it at all. And so while it's very poetic, and I'm not saying this is a terrible way to describe DNA, this works for some people, but it's also not like this at all. I mean, it kind of is. And them giving you the scale a little bit is kind of, I mean, do you think that's kind of helpful? They're still really big numbers, and it's, you know.
No, honestly, no. I think if anything, that kind of drew my attention away from. I don't know. I don't like that.
One of the things that distracted me.
Yeah, it was like a distraction.
One thing that distracted me was it said each chromosome had a pinch place near the middle, and I remembered that chromosomes look different depending on what stage they're in. So I'm like, each chromosome wouldn't necessarily have a place in the very middle.
Well, there is something I forget, that there's terminology. They don't tell you. They're like one, and they point to it, but they don't tell you the name or the term. You're not learning really anything. You're just learning a vague not parody, like an analogy. This is just, a painting to get you help get you to understand the mere concept of it, which is fine. But that's all it's doing. It's not actually, you're not learning anything as far as like how it functions or how it does any of it. It's just, you're just going, there's this amazing thing. Oh my gosh, isn't it amazing? Yeah, kind of sounds cool. Like, it's so very, 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 very introductory. But then they're using that very introductory to make really big claims about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or make everything seem stupid. There was something they said that I don't actually know if that's true. They said the 46 chromosomes are arranged in identical pairs, but the chromosomes aren't identical to each other, right? There's 23 pairs, 46 chromosomes, but I didn't think every chromosome was identical to each other. Isn't that what it's... Or
no,
within
each
the
one
pair?
has an identical pair.
The pair is identical, because I thought
each chromosome is identical to its twin chromosome.
Could have different genes on them. Like, some of them are shorter than the other. They don't...
Right, yeah, they're not perfectly identical always, are they? Especially not the sex chromosomes. Obviously, since some of those are X and Y.
I thought they were not identical. But anyway, whatever. My point being that I don't even know if it's totally accurate.
Right.
But anyways, we can continue. That's all. That's all I have.
Somebody else want to read?
I don't mind.
At least until the next title.
Where are we at? The
structure of an
amazing molecule.
Amazing.
Let us simply...
My horn. Wait, hold on.
Oh, there we go. Let us simply call this part of the model chromosome a rope. It's an inch thick. Ooh, shit. Set this up. Just make this too easy. It's an inch thick. It is looped tightly around spools, which help to form the coils within coils. These coils are attached to a kind of scaffold that holds them in place. Sounds familiar. A sign on the display explains that the rope... Oh, God, we're reading a sign in there. It's just like, what the hell are they talking about? The sign in the DNA? What?
We're still in a museum.
the museum, excuse me, I forgot where we were. A sign on the display explains that the rope is packed very efficiently.
That's what I was blowing my horn at.
I can't take this seriously. Shit. I'm getting, you guys, I didn't know this could be so good. All right. Packed efficiently. If you were to fuck. I can't. Okay, I can't. If you were to pull the rope from each of these models, and lay it all out from end to end, tip to tip, it would stretch about halfway around the earth.
Just the tip.
If we
I
all
don't know
took
if I can get
tips,
through
we'd go
this.
halfway around the. Got it.
I will try and get through this. Okay. One science book calls this efficient packing system an extraordinary feat of engineering.
Every time this is packing.
Every time they anthropomorphize it, an extraordinary feat of engineering. I don't know. Does the suggestion that there was no engineer behind this feat sound credible to you? If this museum had a huge store with millions of items for sale and they were all so tiddly, wow, I was just saying titty, but damn, arranged that you could easily find any item you would need, would you assume that no one had organized this place? Of course not. But such an order would be a simple feat by comparison. In the museum display, a sign invites you to take a length of this rope, oh nice, in your hand for a closer look. As you run it between your fingers, you see that this is no ordinary rope.
Right.
It is composed
DNA, baby.
It is composed of 2 strands twisted around each other. The strands are connected by tiny itty-bitty bars, evenly spaced, of course. The rope looks like a ladder that has been twisted until it resembles a spiral staircase. Then it hits you. Again.
Hit your face with some DNA.
You are holding a model of the DNA molecule, one of the greatest mysteries in life. A single DNA molecule, tiddly packed, tiddly packaged. Am I having a stroke? What is this word?
Tidily, like it's tidy. Yeah, like you have a tidy home.
I'm calling the shenanigans
like neatly packed, like tidily.
Which is why I blew the horn, because
tiddly packed with spools and scaffold make up a chromosome. The rungs and the ladders are known as base pairs. What do they do? What is this all for? A display sign explains it all, called the Bible. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm done. That was me reading this.
Offers a simplified explanation. Huh? I'm so glad this museum exists. I'm so thankful.
Boring.
Can't wait to go there and hold people's ropes of DNA.
All right. Oh gosh. There's a lot of things I had.
Brother Rickshaw is what I wanted.
Yeah, I had said stuff, but whatever. I think it's not worth it. Do you want me to keep reading? I can keep reading. Did anybody have anything they wanted to say about that section?
No, not
this
particularly.
is no ordinary rope. No ordinary rope.
Looks like an old phone cord.
Keep crying for you.
It does look like a phone cord.
Feet of engineering.
And it's even been messed up with the little crinkle, like the sword
When
straight part.
you get the crank right there. When you
Yeah.
get that crank, right there
Yeah,
it is.
see, it's not that
And
hard.
you
Your
sit there and
phone
you have
cord
to
does it.
untwist the
Is your
whole
phone cord
thing.
alive?
I always hated whenever it was messed up. I wanted it to be perfect every time.
Yeah, I didn't like it when it got crinkled.
Okay. For those of us who are old enough to know what we're talking about,
Oh God.
a telephone used to have a cord that was wrapped. It looked just like this, and wrapped all around, and then it would get twisted and it would coil up, and it would do. And that's what DNA is.
Back in my day, we used to
That's
play
what
jacks at the
DNA is.
soda fountain.
Seriously, your phone cord did it without divine intervention. Why can't DNA?
This is the most old timey thing talking about phone cords.
DNA packing. All right.
Jesus is Lord.
Do you want me to keep reading?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
go ahead, and
you-
I'll switch off with you
You
again.
switch. Okay.
next time.
Unless Ryan, you want to read, you can let me know.
My throat's messed up, so I'm
Okay.
good.
The ultimate information storage system. And I wrote the ultimate biological storage system. I did look it up. For its size, it is the most efficient data storage system in the known universe, for the size that it can compact down to. Obviously, our DNA comes out to like so many terabytes of data, which obviously we could store in. We have the ability to store that same information. It's just over time, our ability to get that storage of data smaller and smaller and smaller it's happening. It's just not at the small level that DNA is, if that makes sense.
And the only way
So,
you're gonna get smaller is going to be the quantum, like.
right, we're
physical
talking about,
rates, right?
we're just talking about like, it's not Morse code, but you know what I mean? Like a code that is stored in chemistry,
Right.
really tightly wound up, right? And so, right, if we get quantum computing and all that shit, we'll probably outbeat DNA, is all I'm saying. Give the humans time, they'll come up with an even more compact storage data system. Anyways, but they're going to make this point. Sorry, spoilers. All right, let's go.
No.
Okay. The key to DNA, the sign says in this fucking museum, lies in those rungs, the bars connecting the two sides of the ladder. They won't tell you really what those are, barely. Imagine the ladder split apart. Each side has partial rungs sticking out, and they come in only 4 types. Scientists dub them A, T, G, and C. They don't tell you what these things mean throughout this entire thing. I will.
I was definitely going to ask about it because I remember learning what they were, and I just can't remember the names of those acids.
If I say them, you'll remember them.
Right.
Adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. There's
Mm.
also uracil, which takes the place of thymine in an RNA. So when in the replication process, RNA is made to copy DNA because it unzips the strand, copies it, then takes the RNA over. We lost alpha sub. I'm sorry, this is so boring. And then turns back into DNA. So anyway, they don't mention that, which is too bad because I think that's super cool. Sorry, we lost him. I hope he can come back.
Oh shit. Audio.
Hello. Do we have to pray for him again?
Yeah. Look after him,
Isn't this
please.
already a better book study, Jay? I mean, we just made dick jokes, talked about nostalgic phone
Titty.
cords, tittying, packing,
Keeping
you know, roping.
Roping and tittying is always on the docket. For me.
Okay. I'm just gonna move on and hopefully he joins. Okay, ATCG uracil. Scientists were amazed. Amazed to discover that the order of those letters conveys information in a sort of code. You may know that Morse code was invented in the 19th century so that people could communicate by telegraph. That code had only 2 letters, a dot and a dash. So like binary which is like what computer code is, right? On, off, yes, no, binary. Yet it could be used to spell out countless words or sentences. Yeah, we can do more than that now. DNA has 4-letter code. The order in which those letters A, T, G, and C appear form words called codons. First time I swear that they actually used something scientific.
Right.
Codons are arranged in stories called genes. Each gene contains on average 27,000 letters. These genes and the long stretches between them are compiled into chapters of a sort, the individual chromosomes. It takes 23 chromosomes to form the complete book, the genome, or the total of genetic information about an organism. I don't know. I wrote the word. Does that sound kind of like genomics or eugenics? Excuse me,
What?
eugenic. A complete book. That in order to be a complete book, you have to have all these things. But we know that people can have extra chromosomes, and they're not a complete book.
Oh, you're saying if somebody doesn't have exactly 23, then they're not a
Yeah. Like I don't mean to like stop the flow here, but I couldn't get past that. I was like, complete book? Ew. It just made me feel ew.
Even if that's not how it's meant, that would definitely be used that way at some point if it ever caught on.
And maybe that's why I'm sensitive to it. But it is, I don't know. It's bold to say we have all the answers and that we know what complete is. And isn't evolution maybe just start with extra chromosomes here or there or part of one missing? Anyway, the genome would be a huge book. Huge. How much information would it hold? Lots. All told, the human genome is made up of about 3 billion base pairs or rungs on the DNA ladder. Imagine a set of encyclopedias in which each volume is over 1,000 pages long. The genome would fill 428 of such volumes. Adding the second copy that is found in each cell would make that 156 volumes. If you were to type out that genome by yourself, it would be a full-time job with no vacations lasting some 80 years.
Oh man, it would be wow. That's a dream come true for Americans now.
Of course, what you would end up with after all that typing would be useless to your body. How would you fit hundreds of bulky volumes into each of your 100 trillion microscopic cells? To compress so much information so greatly is far beyond us. And then I wrote on the side of my notes, I said, monkey typing Shakespeare. Have you guys ever heard that analogy about if you give a monkey a typewriter, what are the odds that it will come out with a Shakespearean sonnet?
No, the way I heard it presented was if you had a warehouse with an infinite number of monkeys in it at typewriters, they would come out with Shakespeare eventually.
Well, it's the same kind of concept.
Right.
You're just kind of twisting it around, but essentially the idea being that it's so astronomically overwhelming, statistically likely for a monkey to be able to ever type out a Shakespearean sonnet. And when we think about it, we're like, of course, that makes sense. But that's what people have attributed like evolution to be, the randomness of it. But they're taking out the concept of natural selection from that. So there's randomness and then there's natural selection. And so when you have the two, it's the equivalent of every time the monkey does type part of the words right, it stays there.
Right.
And so if it's typing it randomly long enough and it gets selected to stay on the page, eventually it will type out that, or some kind of analogy along that, where
Right.
natural selection is something that is selecting for
You're making
words
sense.
that it said. Oh, you said a word. I know that word. It goes in there. And then eventually you make it. Anyway.
I was going to point out, by the way, that Brother Rickshaw said he was going to be a little bit late.
Oh, I don't think he's coming. He showed up in the chat.
He's in hell.
Jehovah is smiting him
Well,
as we
he's disfellowship this week. I know I was last week.
I don't think he's going to make it to that baptism. I don't know. Anyway, I will keep going. A professor of molecular biology and computer science noted 1 gram of DNA, which when dried would occupy a volume of approximately 1 cubic centimeter, which is like 1 milliliter, can store as much information as approximately 1 trillion CDs. Oh yeah. Compact
disc.
baby. I like they clarified. It's 2010. If they don't know what a compact disc is,
That probably would confuse you more. What's a compact disc?
compact disc, is that what that stood for? Oh man. What does that mean? What does that mean?
What does it mean?
Remember, the DNA contains the genes, the instructions for building a unique human body. Each cell has a complete set of instructions. DNA is so dense with information that a single teaspoonful of it could carry the instructions for building about 350 times the number. This is also stupid. The DNA required for the 7 billion people living on Earth now would barely make a film on the surface of that. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, if you had a teaspoon of liquid DNA, I'm sure it would have a lot of information theoretically.
But it's so much fluff, and I think that's the intention, like you said, is to overwhelm people with so much information that the real stuff that matters just seems so out of reach and unattainable that you just take the BS that they're shoving down your throat because it looks really sweet.
Yeah.
How somebody not zone out while hearing all this?
Yeah, no wonder I zone out so much. So that this shit will make you go insane.
I just wanted to point out that in this chapter where this kind of near the bottom paragraph where it says the genome would be a huge book. And then it goes on about information, and the genome is made up of 3 billion base pairs or rungs on the DNA ladder. And they make this reference 19. I went to the source, and it's Bioinformatics Method in Clinical Research. Okay. And it says the word ladder and the word rungs are not used at all in this reference. Like, they're not, like, it barely talked. I mean, it's talking about what is this? The human genome, estimated to contain approximately 3 billion base pairs, differs between individuals by a single nucleotide every 100 to 300 base pairs. This variation, which is 0.1%, is mainly due to the presence of about 9 to 11 million common single nucleotide polymorphisms. And then it starts to go into what a SNP is, or a polymorphism. And it has to do with like mutation and all kinds of stuff that relates to evolution. They literally took this reference just to then take the term approximately 3 million base pairs. That's pretty much the only accurate part that they took from this, is the word 3 million base pairs in reference to nucleotides.
And then just
added all this other fluff stuff to it. And that's their source. That's what they did with the source. You had a perfectly good source. I swear, if you just read the sources on this book or this brochure and you don't read any of the garbage they wrote, you probably will think it's got some good evolution information, but they don't quote anything meaningful from it. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, just thought I'd let you guys in on that.
Very disappointing. Very gaslighty.
Anyway.
Do you want me to pick up?
Yeah, unless Ryan wants to. Are you burning, desiring to do it?
No, my throat hurts. I'm good.
We'll read.
A book with no author, is that where we're at?
Which, by the way, is this? I just want you to think, like, I'm thinking of like logical fallacies, and I immediately thought of a false analogy, right? Because a book with no author, they're going to make a reference to DNA being like a book, right?
Right.
Well, okay. So a book author, right? So if book is to author, right? So if DNA is to book, right? Because I'm assuming they've already said DNA is the book, then natural selection is the author.
Right, because that's what's actually determining the order and what the genes are, or what acids are in the DNA.
And the physical properties of the universe. Right? So okay, so if God is just natural selection and the physical properties of the universe, fine. Still doesn't mean the Bible means anything. Let's go. All right, go ahead,
Book
read it.
with no author. Despite advances in miniaturization, no man-made information storage device can approach such a capacity. Yet, the compact disc
Oh
offers
my
an apt
Jesus Christ. No,
comparison.
you didn't explain what a CD was and then just spelled it out. Stop.
Yep, the compact disc offers an apt comparison. Consider this: a compact disc may impress us with its symmetrical shape. Its gleaming, yeah, it impresses
You
me
did
as well.
not keep spelling it out. No.
You guys know what a disc is, right? A disc is like the best thing God's ever made. A shiny one especially.
I don't understand that.
Consider this.
You know,
Compact disc.
it's relevant because now this generation has no idea what a compact disc is, and they needed this description.
Yep.
All
It's
right.
got a symmetrical shape, a gleaming surface, its efficient design. We see clear evidence that intelligent people made the compact disc. But what if it is embedded with information, not random gibberish, but coherent, detailed instructions for building, maintaining, and repairing complex machinery? That information does not perceptibly change the weight or the size of the disk, yet it is the most important feature of that disk. Would not those written instructions convince you that there must be some intelligent mind at work here? Does not writing require a writer? It is not far fetched to compare DNA to a compact disc or to a book, says you. In fact, one book about the genome notes the idea of the genome as a book is not, strictly speaking, even a metaphor. It is literally true. A book is a piece of digital information, so is a genome. The author adds, the genome is a very clever book because in the right conditions, it can both photocopy itself and read itself. That brings up another important aspect of DNA.
Does it?
Whoever they're quoting needs to look up the word literally in the dictionary.
Which one was it?
But
Which reference were they quoting? The idea is not strictly speaking. The author is 22. Okay, hold on. Let me go look
one
at
book
that.
about the genome. One book says.
One book.
I'm gonna put that. If I ever become a journalist, I'm gonna say that as my sources. I'm gonna go. One blog said that Putin was gonna do this.
Oh, oh yeah.
Only if they'll take me away.
This is good. This is good. Hold on a second. I think I can pull this up here. I should share this one. This might be worth making y'all pause for a second. Zoom out. Too far. Too far. Okay. Can I steal? Castile. Da, 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 da. Okay, can you see this?
Oh.
Wow.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was very laggy.
Okay. Okay. So I got this. I'll share this.
Sorry.
I'll go back to it later, but somebody did this as a research project and actually went through all of these resources, and they pull out the quote or the section where they're referencing it, then they'll pull up the actual reference, and then they'll actually either like show bits of it, part of it, or kind of like just basically give it context. And so this one, the genome, the autobiography of a species, this is the one where they quoted the strict idea of the genome is not of the genome as a book is not, strictly speaking, even a metaphor. It's literally true. Okay.
It's literally true, guys.
So first of all, they pull up the section and they've got this context here, but this is what they're quoting. Basically, here it is. It's over here that they're doing, but they like kind of quoting and leaving out like a whole bunch of stuff. So
is this you're highlighting?
I highlighted it. Yeah.
When did you read all this?
I've been reading all this stuff.
Yeah, nerd alert.
Okay, so this is where they got, imagine that the genome is a book. 23 chapters called chromosomes. Each chromosome contains several thousand stories called genes, right? We heard them use this. I don't think they quoted it directly. They just sort of like took the idea. Each story is made up of paragraphs called called exons, which are interrupted by advertisements called interons. Each paragraph is made up of words called codons, and each word is written in letters called bases. So like they're really kind of showing you what they mean by it. They're using it in terms of Bibles, you guys. Sorry, I thought that was funny. There are 1 billion words in the book, which make it longer than 5,000 volumes of the size of this one, or as long as 800 Bibles. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. So like they were kind of taking theirs. The idea of the genome as a book is not, strictly speaking, even a metaphor. It is literally true. A book is a piece of digital information written in linear, one-dimensional, and one-directional form and defined by a code that transliterates a small alphabet of signs into a large lexicon of meaning through the order of their groupings. So is a genome. The only complication is that all English books read from left to right, whereas some parts of the genome read from left to right and some from right to left, though never both at the same time. So like they kind of just go into what they were meaning by that metaphor in a much different direction than what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying, okay, so if we use letters to make words and words to make sentences and sentences to make meaning, this is how it's literally like a book. But they're trying to say it's literally like a book, like the Bible is a book. And, I don't know. Does that make sense to you? I don't know. When I read this, I thought it was like, okay. It made sense to me that they're not really literally describing the same kind of thing.
I think that whatever they're describing, I think it's a bad metaphor all around.
I mean, I think the way this paragraph is explaining what they mean when they say it's like it doesn't sound like a terrible metaphor to me. But a metaphor doesn't mean that that's, yeah, I agree. It's literally true. That's probably the dumbest part that he said. And I often wonder how many of these scientists, they knew that creationists take their words, the flair that they add. This is why science is so boring to read, is because they're trying to not put their own flair to it, because that's what people will do. They'll take it and they'll go, see, this guy said literally, right? And now we're going to focus on the word literally. They quoted that out of anything interesting in this guy's stuff. Is the moment where he was human and put himself into his writing, his scientific writing, and then they took that and they're using that to justify their shit.
Right.
That's
I
what
also think they're intentionally being dishonest using that as a parallel, because they're using the whole book, and a lot of Christians use the, oh well, God's name is written in our DNA, and then they do that weird little thing they do with the Y and the H and the WH, and they show it in the DNA.
Oh,
They're
right.
just using like some weird ass
Numerology.
exactly. But I feel like they're using that analogy intentionally because they're saying, oh, well, in this book are all these instructions, and those instructions must be written by some kind of intelligent mind. They've already made that equation of the DNA being an instruction book. And then, of course, well, God's got to be in that DNA.
This
I
is
think it's just a little dishonest. Like I know that they're not saying that exactly, but they're using that because it really fits in with their belief.
they can help it paint their narrative
Yeah.
while also claiming they're citing legitimate sources. If you look only at the sources in the back, like maybe even a scientist or somebody would be like, these aren't terrible references to use. Like these are scientific literature. But then you read it, you're
Right.
like,
I'm just really mad that
oh.
they keep spelling out compact disc. I really am bothered that they shortened it CD and then continued to just fucking spell
And
it.
look how quickly it became useful to have to explain what a CD is.
But you can leave that part and then just put CD the rest of the way. What's
I mean, that is the point of abbreviating something, is you say the word the first time and then you abbreviate it from then on out.
That's
So you
what I'm
don't
saying.
keep
They're not
saying the
what was
damn
the
word.
purpose? You didn't
They
even
did it backwards.
exactly.
Oh yeah, they abbreviated it one time and said what the abbreviation was,
Yeah.
and then did abbreviate
And then
it
they
again.
never
That's
went
why I
back
was
to the
making a big
abbreviation.
deal out of it. I was like, why are you continuing to spell it out when you've already explained the abbreviation? That's the
Right.
purpose of an abbreviation.
Oh, fuck. Okay, I just wanted to point out this is where I got this guy is the one that did this article, kind of going through and reviewing all of it, and this wasn't easy to like. It wasn't it was free. Let me back up. I had to just request to get a copy download the PDF from a site. So I can see if we can make I don't know. Can you put a PDF in here? Will they let you link it?
Yeah, I think you can put a link.
Anyway, I don't know where it would link from. Anyway, I will figure it out. But if you guys can't find it, was free. I mean, I didn't pay for it.
I see what you're saying.
You can probably email Doug here and then let him know how grateful we are of his efforts.
Doug, we appreciate you, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
You're a
Thanks,
real
Doug.
one, Doug.
Maybe from Australia. I don't know.
Doug, I'm really like anybody that still uses a Yahoo.
I was just gonna say
in 2018.
OG.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Anyway, we don't have to keep. We can go back.
It's getting kind of late, and there's still quite a bit of.
Do we have more? I'm sorry, I was trying to be fast. Not really.
Oh yeah, we do got a good bit. We actually do still have a good bit to go. Yeah, there. Oh my goodness. Oh my good. Oh my goodness.
Is there anything even worth saying? Good Lord.
Right. It was this entire thing.
That's another show. That's a whole.
Okay.
Y'all. We have to get better at our time management. Jehovah is disappointed.
I mean, all the facts aren't facts. No, I'm just kidding.
we keep letting the devil distract us at every turn.
Fine. So where do we leave off? Machines in motion?
Machines in motion.
The motion of the ocean. All right. It's fine. Guess that's fine.
So next week we'll be talking about why size doesn't matter.
Is that where we came from? Why size doesn't matter. Exactly.
It unfortunately very much does matter.
How big is your DNA?
Scale is very important, you know.
It's as big as a museum.
12 stories tall.
Yep.
And
inch around.
Varying heights.
This was a very, very kinky, very hot description of DNA, and I'm here for it. So next week, if you guys want to join us, we'll finish it up and see where it goes from here. But we'll learn more about CDs and what those are, and what else?
Probably store information, and
Compact
the
disc.
information
Got it.
must come from some
Pack it in
intelligent
there.
writer.
Nice and tight, titty
Ropes
tight.
of
Very
rope-
tiddy.
ropes of DNA.
All right. Well, maybe Tyler can join us next time if we let him in. I don't know.
We'll
Uh,
see if he's repented for his sins.
If he has repented enough. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
He has to show some contrition for me before I can just forgive. Little repentance, please. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Well, good night. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thanks for coming. Yeah, go get a cold shoulder. Shower. I can't even talk.
Get a cold
Love you
shower,
guys.
over the cold
See you
shoulder.
later.
Thanks for coming. And if you didn't come, then get in the cold shower now, please.
Yeah, or get it done. Get it
Mm.
done.
I'm probably gonna ask questions.
Oh,
Dan,
oh.
I was literally just pushing the end stream button. Love you, Dan.
Thanks.
Hope you all have a night of completion.
I hope we didn't leave you with a big sausage link with a chunk in the middle squish. A squish chunk in the middle.
Edge you to the end.
Sausage made of DNA.
Love you, Dan. Love you all. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.